These are new modules, right? Because there used to be a volume control on these bad boys.
Oh my God, I don't know. Don't wiggle.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, our microphone's on. I was gonna say, Danielle, that didn't work for me at the planning board. The microphone.
Give me your water. I can open it for you.
Oh, no, I don't think I'm gonna drink it.
You sure?
No,
You positive?
I don't know. Okay, open it and.
Telling you, you're gonna need it. Everybody on?
I did a planning board.
We good? Everyone on?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know what I.
All right. I would like to call the Monday, January 13th, 2025 City Council meeting to order. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Roll call, all councilors are present. And for our invocation this evening, Deputy Mayor Smith is going to read that for us.
Folks, please join me in being the attitude of prayer. We pray for our country at all times, that all citizens are safe, healthy, and happy. We pray for wisdom for all those who guide and govern. Help this government body in every situation to know and to do the things that are right and just, with soundness of judgment in making vital decisions. We pray for the peacemakers, that the holy life-giving spirit may ever dwell in their hearts, and the barriers of fear, suspicion, and hatred may fall. This we pray to the Holy Father. Amen.
Amen. Everyone would join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 4 is our declaration of any conflict of interest. Is there any counselor who would like to make a declaration of conflict of interest this evening? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to the item 4B, we'll call it, the annual council photograph. So hopefully no one minds if we make that little change to the agenda tonight.
All right, so are you gonna stand?
We can just stand right here maybe. Is that okay with everyone? Just kind of crowd in.
Sure.
Snuggle. Should we snuggle? We'll snuggle.
I'm taking this off because I'm gonna end up, I'll move my chair back. Okay.
I'm gonna have that. You look pretty today.
There.
You want to be in the picture?
I can take a
Okay.
picture.
I was going to say, I think we could get one with you.
That would be good.
It would be.
Okay, everybody say something.
Something. Yay.
Budget.
Budget.
As a comedian. I'll get up there.
Good idea. Ooh, perfect.
Yeah.
Here, I'll step over and you can sneak in.
Well, no, how about?
Can you get all of us,
okay.
Jan?
Just trying to be gentlemanly. Remember that later on.
Okay, everybody ready?
Yep.
Yeah, I took 2.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Jan. Oops. Fine. I'm going to need to see the proofs of those.
Yeah.
Approved.
TMZ.
Okay, item number 5 is public forum. Danielle, did you have any write-ins?
I do not.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Please come on up and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jan Murchison. I'm a Caribou resident. I wanted to put on your budget agenda the purchase of a smart screen. We do have a current projector system, and it generally works for people in-house. We have had issues displaying project drawings during our work with the police station. I'm sure you've had other issues with that as well. If you did have a smart screen, you could actually share the screen with the public in addition to everyone in the room. It'd make it a lot easier. The new school has a similar screens, and the kindergartners know how to use it, so surely it can't be that hard. I do apologize, I have no information on costs. I assume that Bob Sowers could provide that information, but I just wanted to put it out there on everyone's radar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jan.
Is there anybody else from the public who wishes to speak?
Troy Haney, I'm speaking on behalf of the Caribou Development Committee. As the 2024 chairperson of the Caribou Development Committee, I'd like to explain the differences between the Caribou Development Committee, the CDC, and the Caribou Economic Growth Council, the CEGC, for the council members and the citizens that might not understand that they are different groups and what different purposes that they might have, although we all have the same goals to create a new development in Caribou. I also feel our taxpayers should be aware of the work that's been going on for over the past 12 to 16 months by the group of volunteer citizens that are working together to bring new economic development to our city and try to help offset our increasing taxes. The CEGC is a financial arm separate of the city with a 501c nonprofit status that is in place to loan money to entrepreneurs that may need help getting funding when banks may not loan against a project due to its type, or if the person doesn't have enough funding from the bank to fulfill the needs. It's also known as gap funding, and it helps fill the void to allow a business to develop. There's several great people that also volunteer on that board to assess the potential financial needs, risks, loan potential that their group can offer. They work with the NMDC to facilitate loan paperwork to ensure that the business has a good foundation to start on. The CDC has nothing to do with loaning any money or assessing anyone's financial situation or needs. The CDC is a group of 7 volunteers that are working together to create a business-friendly development environment to ensure Caribou has the best chance to facilitate sustainable growth and development to help build our tax base and help offset our tax expenses for the citizens. I'm proud to have helped create this committee that's had some positive impacts since its inception of 2024. This past year, the committee has made some positive growth, and as we worked hard as a team to build achievable goals and put our home, the city of Caribou, on a positive growth path. Some highlights of 2024, we identified over 200 acres of city-owned property that has potential for development of housing, commercial, and industrial spaces. We've had conversations about ideas with several stakeholders that would be involved or impacted in such development. We were able to work closely with the city manager, the Caribou utility districts, and local business looking to expand to help keep them from moving from their current property to possibly another city or property by helping them extend the sewer system to allow them to build in the current location. Thanks to the help of the city manager and city staff, we were also able to acquire grants to help pay for that, so that was great. We sent a request to meet with the MDOT. The request was eventually granted after several requests to meet with them and discuss to add curb cuts between the property on Route 1 and Caribou. The potential property has been inaccessible for more than 50 years now to Caribou, and we've missed out on potential development in those areas, I believe, as their prime locations. The meeting was held with the MDOT, and initially they were completely against the idea, but thanks to the CDC pushing back, along with City Manager Thompson, we were able to overcome those challenges, and we get them to a yes to start looking at possible development. And that's the area, for folks that don't know, between the Best Western End, or the Caribou Motor Inn, as we probably know it by, and Fort Street, and between Cary Medical and Napa. These are high-traffic areas that have access to our city sewer system, making them high-value targets for our future development projects. A housing development team was created to better assess the needs of housing for Caribou. We were able to host a meeting with several home builders, property developers, property owners, and financial folks to help outline and understand the challenges and roadblocks that are stopping much-needed housing development. A laundry list of items was gathered, and the work continues to help find creative solutions to encourage new developments in the city. A housing development needs assessment study has been applied for through a grant program, and I believe we're still waiting to hear back on that. We also created and hosted a brand-new event called the Icebreaker. We invited all the other committees and the city council to a meeting to discuss their goals and projects, so the city leaders are working on the same direction. Through these meetings, it was determined we had many of the same goals, but also found some differences that would have had potential negative impacts if we hadn't been able to talk and adjust our strategies to meet the goals and expectations. We held 2 of these this past year, and both, I feel, had positive impact.
Mr. Haney, just watch the time, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna finish this, if you don't
5
mind, after
minute-
donating.
5-minute timer.
After volunteering for a full year.
Thank
And I'm
you.
speaking on behalf of the CDC, I'd like to have at least, it's about 6 minutes, so almost done. The committee outlined strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats for our city that helped go into our 10-year planning process. There were several other smaller items that were also worked on, but I think enough's been pointed out here to show the extreme value of a volunteer group of individuals that are working to put their city's needs ahead of their own. The CDC is made up of the following individuals, and I'd like to thank them for their selfless service that they've all shown by volunteering their time and energy to the committee. I'm proud to have served our community with Gary Marquis, Christina King Gibson, Lydia Wenzel Kiefer-Till, Jacob Beaupre, Dave Corvo, James Nelson. And I'd also like to thank the city manager, Penny Thompson, Karen Gorman, and the CUD directors that have worked with us. Each of these people deserve a thank you and to be acknowledged for their hard work and dedication. Since the last meeting, the counselors have received this information. We've shared it via public Facebook, and Councilor Bagley, Smith, and Watson have all written letters of support, as well as Manager Thompson with the Caribou Economic Growth Council and all members of the Caribou Development Committee. They have all requested and sent support that this committee stay in place going forward so we can continue the good work to help build a better future for Caribou. Finally, I formally request that the council votes to fill these positions in the Caribou Development Committee at tonight's meeting so we don't have any interruption in progress. If any councilor members should have concerns beyond the duplication that was the conversation of the committees, I'd ask that those councilors please share those publicly tonight so we can address those concerns and also take that information into consideration as we move forward. Thank you for hearing me out, and I hope you guys come to a good positive outcome tonight. So I'd like to submit this into the meeting minutes, please. And there's copies here if anybody would like them.
Thank you. Mr. Haney, again, though, I would appreciate future public forums if you do stick to the 5-minute timer, just like everyone else is expected to do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Come on up. The timer will be starting. Please state your name and address.
My name is Bruce Hagelston. Live here in Caribou on Coolidge Avenue. I would just like an update. Are we any closer on a code enforcement officer? I know you were still reviewing applications, from my understanding. I wonder if we're any closer to getting one.
We have not had any new applications.
Okay. Are we doing any search or recruiting or going to a headhunter or anything like that to try to find a qualified person for that position?
I can tell you that Mayor Boma made a suggestion to me that I have followed up on in the last few days.
And
We're not hiring a headhunter or something, but I don't really want to go any farther than that.
I'm just
but-
going to, Manager Thompson,
Yeah.
you don't need to speak right now. So I'm going to remind everybody as well, I think this is something that we really need to be mindful of, that public forum is for the public to come in and make comments about things that they feel are important to talk about in the community, but it's not a time to be asking questions of the council.
Well, I think this is a timely thing that is a concern for the city, and it needs to be addressed as soon as possible.
Yes, and we're happy to hear your concerns. Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? Manager Thompson, I think we had at one time a paper or something that we left out for when people were coming in that wanted to speak for public forum.
Yeah, I think we have it loaded on the website, but we can make some more copies.
Maybe we
yeah.
should do that and have them. I just think it's something we've kind of gotten away from and we need to really be on top of, because public forum is meant for people to come in and voice their opinions, but not necessarily a question and answer session. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, item number 6 on the agenda is bid openings, awards, and appointments. And the first item is 6A, appointments to boards and committees. That's on page 2 of your packet. And it looks like we left somebody off the list of appointments for the organizational meeting. So it looks like Planning Board Chair Amanda Jondro was inadvertently left off the list of appointments. Her paperwork has been returned to the city clerk. What are the wishes of the council?
I'll make a motion to appoint Amanda Jondro to the Caribou Planning Board for the 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2027.
I'll second.
Motion second, further discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Watson?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item 6B, this will be the mayoral appointments to committees and liaison roles. So you'll all see that you do have a packet in front of you that I have put in everybody's assignments. And if you want to take a look at that and let me know if anybody has any questions.
Move slate.
Second?
Motion is second, further discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Watson?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Needs to be updated on our website, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll
Waiting
get
for
those
them to be
updated.
passed.
And just a reminder on some of those, especially for newer members. So the council committees by charter, of course, count as our attendance, and you need to make sure that we're attending those meetings regularly. I did try to vary the chairs on the committees as much as I could. I would also mention that with the liaison roles, if you happen to have a liaison role, you attend the meetings, but you don't have like a vote. It's not a meeting where you can participate in that way. You can certainly ask questions or be there to kind of hear what's going on, but it's not something that we can vote at as liaison members. So. And if you have any questions, please email me about that. Okay. Item 7, we do not have any public hearings or action items on that. Okay, item number 8 is reports by staff and committees. And on page 7, there is information about the National Incident Management System overview. It's a training for senior officials. Penny, did you want to talk about that at all?
So during the course of the year, we apply for grant funding, and to be in good standing, we have to have a certain percentage of our elected officials that have taken this training. Some of you have taken it previous years. Just a reminder, if you haven't taken it, we tried it. They've got 3 different dates here, so.
If we've already taken this, do we need to take it again?
Nope, just
Okay.
once.
One and
Take it
done.
once.
One and done, okay.
I did that last year. I think you did that last year as well, yes. It's good information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to sum
Good
it up,
information.
stay out of the people's way who are doing the things.
Yes.
You may be an elected official, but you're not the boss of the scene. That was my takeaway when I took it.
But they'll
As
let
manager.
they'll let you jump in the water to save somebody if you want to do that, though, I think.
Oh, okay. In my class, they weren't talking about that. They were just like, you know, we have a person who's in control of the scene, and don't get in their way. And don't bring things we don't ask for, because it's just going to be in the way. I'm like, good deal. Just take my direction from you, and
That's right.
yeah.
Okay, item number 8B is the Public Safety Building Committee update. So our committee has met a couple of times in the new year. And Penny, I think there is a drawing somewhere, right? You have that.
Oh,
in your
yeah.
drawing?
Yeah, I think it's the next page.
But basically, at the last couple of meetings, we've talked about things that have to do with mechanical. We've talked a little bit about heating and learning a little bit about the different heating systems we might be able to utilize. But one of the biggest things that we've done The committee had a couple of concerns with how some of the things were laid out in the design that we got previous to this one. So they did, at not the last meeting, the meeting before, come up with a hand-drawn sketch of what this could look like based on our feedback. And so at the last meeting, they actually presented this to us. And so this is the latest rendering of what the floor plan will look like. And at this point, the committee is very happy with this. This is exactly what Jan was talking about when she was talking about the screen. So the issue with this is it is very hard to see what's on here based on this. If we had a smart screen, it would be a little bit easier to see. But with the layout now, when someone comes in the vestibule, they'll go into the secure lobby, and then they can take a right down the hallway, and all the offices are kind of down that way. Conference room, offices, the allied offices are all down in that direction, away from the secured police area. You'll see the Sally Port on the far left-hand side. Still have that set up with room for 2 vehicles. Another reason for the 2 vehicles, or the size for 2 vehicles, is that it's really important that we be able to back an ambulance in if that needs to happen at some point. And so the only way that that would work would be to have a bay large enough to accommodate an ambulance. And so that's why the design was made that way. I guess at this point, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take a stab at answering them. I also know that Manager Thompson has provided you with a packet. In that packet, I think you have a copy of the design that you can look at that's blown up a little bit, that's a little clearer than what you see on the screen. But there were some questions from some of the members of council, so I believe all of those have been addressed in the packet.
I mean, does anybody want me to talk about anything or ask any of the questions or follow-up questions?
I do. Just from a new guy perspective, is this, I remember seeing the other documents. Is this bigger than the?
No.
So what appears to be larger is this internal reshuffling?
Yeah, so I think they've moved around the patrol area a little bit.
Right.
And moved some of the office spaces, so that might be what you're seeing.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're still talking about.
It's the same square footage.
Okay, that's,
Yes.
yep, that was my concern there.
Yep,
I was
yep,
like,
no,
wow,
absolutely.
I'm not sure if I remember seeing it that way, you know, it's like,
Yeah, it's
There's
gone
been
through a
several
few
iterations.
reiterations.
Yeah. It's hard to keep track of this, I guess. And another question, this one's totally off the wall. Why don't we have this on a Facebook site?
We have it on the city website, so people can go on, all the drawings are on there, everything's
You know,
on there.
I think from a proactive, I mean, I'm not saying you have to turn on comments or anything, but I think it would be beneficial for the average person wandering by to have something that is readily available, that they're familiar with using. I will be honest with you, I can navigate our website, but the average person who may be my age or a little bit older, you know, just a Facebook blurb, so you can continually put these updates in so that everybody feels that they're part of the process and guarantee the transparency that people tend to think about. That's just a suggestion.
That's something to consider. You know, I think, again, this has been a hot topic, the whole Facebook thing. And I think we've got some strong opinions about that on this council and what Facebook should be used for.
Yeah.
But that said, we do have a City of Caribou Facebook page, and we have a City of Caribou police page and a fire and ambulance page, so I don't see why we couldn't have some information
Yeah.
on
I mean, because, you
on
know,
those pages.
it is a hot topic, it's very sensitive when you talk to various people about it, including the community. It would be nice to be able to put out the standard, and then that way you can hang on to it and say, you know, because I don't know about you, but if I'm walking down the street and someone pumps me about 30 questions, you know, I'm jumping around going, well, I remember this, or I saw that, but I didn't see this, and I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know who said that. You know, why not get us out of the middle and make it there?
I mean, I would say it would be really just, you know, maybe a sketch of the design, or, you know,
Yeah.
a picture of the design or something of that nature. I don't think it would be a lot of commentary,
I don't
but
think there needs to be. I think there just needs to be, here's your design, here's where we are in the process of this. You know, here are the things that we're encountering and working on now. That way, no one feels like something happened behind back doors.
Are there other members of the council who want to weigh in on this?
On the whole project.
On the, no, that.
Oh, on
part,
that,
the-
right.
The social media aspect.
I saw on the Caribou website, people have questions that's where they can go.
You
That's
know,
the way I
I
feel.
think too, you know, who's gonna maintain it, who's gonna up, you know, we have.
Exactly. We
But
have
yeah.
enough, we have
I'm
enough web
concerned
pages
with-
to obtain.
Yeah, but
Those
don't we
things too.
have somebody who has a Facebook page for us?
Yes. I mean, I have to send her the stuff, and she doesn't magically know what it is.
Right, right.
but, yeah.
But I'm saying there is a mechanism. That's all I'm saying.
My concern with that, and I guess that's why it becomes difficult, is that if somebody comments with misinformation or something like that, I'm not sure who would monitor that.
No,
That's
no,
where
no.
it gets a little
I
tricky.
don't think there should be a comments section attached
If there was a
to
way
it.
to not
You can
to
turn them
have
off, I
comments,
think.
I
then
think this.
that would
what
be
you-
my concern.
What you need, this is like a billboard.
Yeah.
You know, this is where we are, day 23, this is what we're doing. That way, you know, if someone wants to have a comment, there's more than enough forums that they can handle that through. All I'm looking for is something to get you
A
past.
visual or, yeah.
Yeah, get you past that heartache. You don't want to set up some sort of debate center where someone's got to go in and play referee.
Right.
But you definitely need, with all this information, and you're talking about moving into the final phases of design, and especially when we go into construction, you're gonna have a ton of information that needs to be put out there all the time. And I think it'd just be something that would solve a lot of problems later on if you just said, there it is.
And
Something to
I guess,
consider.
I guess my question is why that would need to be separate from the city or the police website, why that would be, why would that
Because
would be
not
separate from
everybody does the city websites. Everybody does Facebook here.
No, not
No, I don't
everybody
have
does
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, well,
Not everybody
I'm
does
just saying,
Facebook.
most of the people that I've bumped into, that was what was, I'm just passing on their concerns to
Mm-hmm.
this council. They're like, I don't know, I don't navigate it, I have no clue.
I think another, point to make with this is that people can see our agenda, they can see what we'll be speaking about at our meetings, and so if the police station happens to be on the agenda, there's no reason people can't come on in and listen to what's being said at meetings as well. And I think I think it's important for citizens to be involved in that process and to be able to come in and listen to what's going on, and I do think that you take away sometimes more if you can sit and listen to the conversation. I know some folks do watch the meetings, on YouTube or on,
Yeah, but I also know some people who don't. you
Right.
know, And
Yeah.
they're getting misinformation from somebody who probably watched, and I'm not picking. but,
that's unfortunate, yeah.
But, I'm just trying to look at ways to keep your misinformation down to nothing.
There's always going to be
I
misinformation.
agree with
There will
that.
always be. And the information is there in certain places. It's ready, available, everything is public. They just need to get it.
Yep.
And to have another place to put it, to add more confusion and chaos, I just don't agree with it.
That's an opinion.
That's
I
right.
just
Well, I
tend
think,
to
I
go
think the
different.
city ought to use every tool available to it for public outreach and to build public support, and I see no reason why. Facebook is a very, very effective tool for outreach. It's got its drawbacks. I admit, somebody who's experienced doing it, there are some gotchas you have to be careful about, but a site that reaches a lot of people and you can get your information out and use that as a tool to build public support, that is critical to this project. So I don't know why we would ignore it and not use it. That's my opinion.
Well, I think we have some, like I said earlier, I think we have divided opinions on this and some strong opinions on it, but thank you for bringing it up, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I reached out to the former chief of police in Augusta, who is now the city manager. And full disclosure, it's my nephew, but he gave me some insight, because I know there was some comments or whatever made, they weren't sure, maybe Artifacts wasn't the right firm to be handling this, or they weren't sure. And so anyway, Artifacts was the architectural company that started the police department down in Augusta, probably they moved in a year or so ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. So I asked some questions, and I've got some answers here. First, I asked if he knew Mr. Redstone, and his name is Jared Mills. Jared said he didn't know. He had never heard of him or anything. I asked him if he's had anybody interject or anything into their projects, and he said there have been a couple of them, and what they did was they were most interested in finding out why we aren't using a building that's already up and rehabbing it. And the architects came in and very successfully proved to them why they can't do that. And the relationship between Artifacts and the city of Augusta went until it came down to the design-build bid. Their building was all designed, and then the bids went out for the design-build, which I'm assuming that that means that they're going to take the plan that they used and build that, and that's a separate, of course, a separate bidding process. And at that point, Port City and Artifacts also bid on this, and Port City came in at $500,000 less than Artifacts did, so they got the bid to build it. But he said that, with that said, Artifacts was absolutely amazing, and we ended up using most of their renditions and imported them into our existing building that Port City finished. And he said, I have to say that Ellen is excellent, and that Rob Manns is most knowledgeable individual when it comes to police buildings and what they need. This guy is off the charts smart and can deliver an amazing project. And he said that you would never go wrong with him. He's been on the Augusta team since Port City took over. He was with Artifacts, and he said that he won't have to go far to get references or anything. He said he does police buildings all over the country, and he said that there's absolutely he would recommend them for the highest, with the highest marks, because he said they did an excellent job. He says Ellen is excellent, and she's not afraid to tell you that it's going to cost you a lot of money and things like that. But I was very happy to get this reference from them, and hopefully now, I think if anybody had any misgivings, maybe this will help put them to bed, because I think we've got the right right people to do it. That's just what I wanted to let you know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything further on the police station?
Just want to throw in a couple of things. I think we're pretty well to the point. I have a lot of questions, but most of those questions are being answered in this. Thank you. So when I get a chance to review that, I have some more questions, but I'm going to save those until we get to the point of, when we actually get this out to bid and get a price point, and that's going to make the big decision. I mean, for me, of what we do with this design. Well, the design, I haven't argued it too much. I mean, there's some changes we could make here, or we could argue that too. The other thing I'm very pleased with the fact that we have a timeline of March 15th to get this. And that this committee is being very aggressive. I see in here the committee plans to meet every 1 to 2 weeks. And I think that
Yes.
this is really good news, I think, for the citizens and people with questions, and not picking on it. We're to a point where we're moving forward and we can get somewhat closure.
Yeah.
And get to the point of where we can get this bid awarded. As I see in here, they answered a lot of my questions about the funding, so I won't get into that, but thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'd like to echo what Jody said about that. I'm very pleased to see that we're beginning to focus on schedule and timelines and milestones. And that's what I think has been lacking in previously. We've allowed ourselves to get 2 years behind, and we're picking up the pieces and we're going forward, and I'm happy to see it going forward. On this latest design, my first impression was that the workflow was much improved. It just jumped out at me. I said, okay, this all kind of makes sense now. So that was the positive, but when I looked at it, I saw a lot of areas where they expanded the size of the rooms. And only one area, the Sally Port, where they decreased the size of the room. And I didn't see any other changes, in the sizes of the rooms. And so, I just went through and just kind of added up those areas that were expanded. I think we really need to go back and challenge that 11.1 square footage, because the way I calculate it, it looks like it's like 800 square feet larger than the plan that was approved on the 16th. Now,
I
that's
don't believe that's correct, but we'll
Yeah.
look into it.
Well, I'm just saying, I was surprised to see that the square footage came in at 11.1, because I see expansion in a lot of areas, and reductions in only one place. So I wanted to share that with you. I've documented that in the sheet. Wanting to take a look at it and review, and you can come to your own. This is what I saw. So my only request is to take another look at that square footage and make sure that it's accurate and that it's not just an oversight that they just brought forward from the previous, plan. So I think this is a bigger building, which will cost more. But that's all I had. All in all, positive and a much improved design.
Great, thanks. Anyone else? Okay. Item number 8C is the city manager's report.
So there's not a lot of updates on here. It's the beginning of the year. This seems like everything's kind of slow to get restarted for me to get updates from people. But I do have a few here. The power plants, they're demobilizing. As soon as that is complete, then we can start work on the diesel plant. The broadband, I reached out to both Consolidated and Charter. Consolidated has completed their project, and they are now reaching out to people and signing up new customers. And I actually spoke to one today who had Starlink and subscribed to Fidium and said that the service is equal to what they had, to Starlink, and I guess it's less expensive. So they've never had cable where they live, so this was, this was a new adventure for them. So Charter Spectrum, they are actively building as they get their pole permits. They have 294 locations complete. They have 65 left to go. And they did send me a spreadsheet that had like different addresses and which ones were activated. The Riverfront Master Plan is part of our NBRC, the Northern Border Regional Commission grant. So as the council knows, that when I've given my updates, back in June, we submitted the draft environmental assessment, which was prepared in accordance with the National Environmental Policy Act. And we have had to send back new drafts. It's an iterative process. And so we're now up to almost twice the number of pages as that first draft. But this one was accepted. So now we have an accepted draft environmental assessment. So now we are in the 30-day comment period. And we do have that posted on our website. We have it posted in the library, outside the city clerk's office, and at the rec department. So if people are interested in that, they need to reach out to the Clark Group, who's a third party who has been hired by NBRC to answer questions and provide copies of that. But we're very excited that we are now 1 week into that, and the goal would be at the end of the 30 days that we would get the final notice to proceed. And that will be a very exciting day. The Riverfront Committee has been working on this for years, and I think they're going to be pretty excited when we get that final notice. The DOT Village Partnership Initiative, so there was a public meeting on Thursday, December 19th at 6:30 at the Wellness Center. And I have asked to have the slides put on our website, but I'm not sure that, the last time I checked, they weren't there yet. I had hoped to have time to do kind of a narrative with the slides so that people might be able to get a sense of what was discussed, but I just haven't had time to do that. We had a small crowd, but the people that were there were very engaged, and they really want to see changes to the downtown. And it was really exciting to be there. For administrative approvals, Evergreen Lanes featuring the Rendezvous Restaurant's liquor license was renewed. And I'll take any questions that anybody has on anything.
Does anybody else have Fidium come knock on your door? Want
Yes.
you to change over?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Waiting for them to come, they haven't come.
They come, and no, I chose not, I almost did, but I chose not to. There wasn't a huge difference I saw between,
For the
There
internet?
isn't.
for the internet.
No,
Well, I know-
it's a deal for the first year, then it goes up to just as
Yeah, it
much as
wasn't-
Spectrum's charging a year
'Cause I
after.
was set up to change,
Yep,
and then I got looking
Yep.
at it a little closer and I canceled it, but
Yep.
maybe for some people in the
Yep.
outer
Yeah.
place, it's the only
Well,
option.
yeah, the only option.
Which is good.
For now, but Spectrum is building out to every address, so there will be competition all through the city
Good.
between the two.
Maybe they'll come
I
back.
know for sure Counselor Bagley has Fidium there because.
That's what? Oh, okay.
Because remember the night their truck, they parked it right in front of your house?
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it broke down, but it was just, that was the way they did things, is wherever they were done for the night, they just left their truck and put up some cones and left.
And they left
There you go.
a coil of cable on
Yes.
the lawn there.
Yeah,
Not worried about the
Yeah.
materials.
I'm gonna go.
yeah, it was.
Take it a scrap.
It was crazy to come down around that curve and down the hill and see that truck sitting there in the dark. And yeah, that was just their way, though. But they got it all done. They were fast. But that one was not a last mile project. They had RDOF territories they had to serve, and there were some places that got the fiber as a result of that. But, yeah.
Any updates on the lights?
Oh, that's what I
Oh,
was
yes.
just
I
gonna
know.
ask. So I know
Same
that,
thing.
well, Manager Thompson had reached out to the folks that we have contracted to do that job, and I know the goal was that was gonna be done right after
Yeah,
Christmas.
that's right.
Still have citizens talking to me about, not me now, but I know you reached out again. Did you
Yep,
hear back?
I did. I actually spoke to Tim Todd today, and they have started. So they've done kind of the random ones, and now they've started in the downtown, and they're working their way out.
Okay, when will we be done? Do we know?
He said they were gonna stay right with it, so unless we have a bad windstorm or something that would cause them to have to, abandon that to get someone's power restored.
Okay.
Probably a couple weeks.
Okay, great, perfect, thank you.
But they have started that, yeah.
Good.
I have a question for the manager, if that's okay. And it goes back to the appointments of these committees, and you are so busy, and you're on every one of these committees, and that is crazy.
Agreed.
Is there any way that you can find staff to delegate some of these committee roles to, just to lighten your load? Have you considered that?
Sure, if we had people to delegate that to, like for example, the planning board. And I'm very happy that you're gonna be on the planning board, because you've been the chair.
I'm happy that I'll be.
I actually asked Mayor Boma, when I saw in your email you were willing to serve in any way that you were needed. And I actually asked Mayor Boma if you could be on the planning board because, you know, you have a lot of experience in that. And I think we need help there. But we don't have a code officer, so that's why I'm at planning board meetings. Before the Riverfront Committee, our former code officer did those meetings too. I didn't have to, as the manager, I'd be sitting upstairs. I mean, if they wanted something, they could, you know, text me and I could come down and answer a question, but I didn't do those either. Like the Development Committee and CEGC, those are tied to economic development, which is part of the manager's job. AWS, the manager is the alternate member. So if I knew for sure both of the other members were going, could I skip the meeting? Sure, but I always want to make sure that Caribou's voice is heard at those meetings, so we want to make sure we have our 2 votes, which are important when they're voting on things, to make sure that our interests are seen to. But sure, if we had people to delegate to, I'd be happy for,
I would just like
someone
to see
else.
your load lightened in this area because you are running to meetings twice a day, every day. And
Agreed.
on top of the work that you have to do.
And I think if we do at some point, find someone to take one of those jobs that we've posted, that person will be able to help with some of
Really
those as
have
well.
to Turn up the heat on getting those people in because we can't go on like this.
Definitely agree.
I mean, the committees don't meet all the time, and like the Riverfront hasn't met for a few months because I've been keeping them updated by email. Same with Airport, that one, you're on that one, we haven't met for a few months either, but, so they don't always meet, but there are weeks that it's every single night, you know,
I know.
yeah.
I see you in some of the meetings twice a day.
Yes, that's right, that's exactly
All
right.
right, thank you. I just wanted to bring that up. That's my
Yeah.
recommendation,
Yeah.
to try to delegate some of that off.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else under the manager's report? Okay. Item number 9, under new business ordinances and resolutions. We have 9A to establish our meeting calendar for 2025, and we have that on page 13. So as you'll see, the months of, January, it's already we're in the midst of that, and we have another meeting scheduled already in January, which will make 3. We will also plan to have 2 meetings in February and 2 meetings in March. After that, we can go to 1 meeting a month in April and May, but we have 2 meetings in June just because we do have, municipal election at that time, and we have to look at the budget once the school RSU 39 budget is voted on and all of that, so that we can get the mill rate set. And then July, August, and September, and October, we have, some are the 4th and some are the 3rd Mondays of those months. Right through November and December.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed 2025 meeting calendar as presented.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion?
I support dropping back to 1 meeting a month in the summer. I think that provides us all kind of just a little bit of breathing room during the summer months. But I just feel over the last year that we are just always behind on things and always going with long meetings, and I'd really like to get back to the 2 meetings a month. Everything up to, I guess, I would want to add April 14th, and I would like to reconfigure September through December to have 2 meetings a month, if the council is open to that.
I don't think it's necessary, and I think if we did need to add an extra meeting because something was urgent coming up, we could certainly add a meeting in. There's nothing that says we can't do that as long as we give proper notice, but I don't think we need to go to
Yeah,
putting
if
2 meetings a month.
Everybody's comfortable with 1 meeting a month. I mean, I wouldn't object to that, but I think we could be more effective and stay on top of things better. There's so many things that we're gonna have to deal with in this coming year that I would just like to see 2 meetings a month. So that's my input.
Further discussion? Bagley?
No?
Kelly?
Aye.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Watson?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item number 9B is a discussion on adopting a resolution to adopt, I like that, a code of conduct for members of the city council. That starts on page 14 of your packet. So just to give a little bit of context around this, for many years, we do have a very small paragraph in our city charter that talks about conduct for council members. And it was rather ambiguous and a lot of room for interpretation, I guess, if you will. So last year, some of the members of the charter committee did meet and worked on a code of conduct draft. And we did vote by referendum, and it did pass that from here forward, every January, the council will vote on a code of conduct that will pertain to that particular year. And then the next year, it will be voted on again. So it'll be just basically pertaining to that seated council at that time. So there is a draft code of conduct that was attached here, and I believe this is the draft that the charter committee did come up with when they met. So right now, I think it would be great for us to just have a discussion about this and for people to ask questions they might have or make suggestions that they might have. We can kind of talk that through and maybe wait and vote on this at the next meeting if there's still some question or some things that need to be reworded, because we still have time. We have until January 31st.
We'd have to adopt a resolution, right?
Yes, we have to adopt it by then, and we have one more meeting before then, so.
I'll start. I
Yep.
guess, on this. Yeah, I had some questions initially about this, and then I educated myself on it. I didn't realize this was drafted. This was initially done by the charter committee. Did a lot of review on this and the legwork, which I wasn't on, and I didn't pay that close of attention to that. And I since looked through this, and I'm very comfortable with what is presented. That's my opinion.
So I put my comments in an email to the council previously, but I can go through them again here today. So I think this reads more like an oath than a code of conduct. And if we want to make it an oath, I guess we can. When we say we agree. That's fine. I mean, the wording is fine, but if that's the case, then we probably have an area down at the bottom where we all sign it every year.
I believe that's how it usually is it not?
Correct.
It is that way.
Yes.
Right, that's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
however we want to do it.
Adopt
So
it.
maybe we might want to add that. I don't see the need to list out all of those things that are already covered in law. Or in other places, in the charter or whatever. Things like conflict of interest, all those state laws. This is a code of conduct that is going to go beyond what we're already obligated to follow. So, yes, we can put it in. It doesn't hurt to have it in there, but it doesn't really serve any purpose either. There are some specific items. Let me see here. Number 4, I do object to and cooperate in the implementation of, because that is very ambiguous and is just going to cause a lot of, confusion and conflict trying to figure out what that means. So either we need to expand on that, tell us what that means to cooperate with the implementation. Certainly all members should respect and uphold the decisions of the body, but cooperate in the implementation bothers me. I don't know what that means.
I believe from how I take that is what it means is that if the council should vote on something and make a decision on something, that the other council members should, maybe they didn't agree with that vote or voted against it, should still respect and cooperate with that implementation.
Yes.
So to not speak against whatever that vote was or to speak against the wishes of the
Yeah,
council
that's
body.
how-
I'm going to be bound by that because you're effectively telling me I have to change my mind and silence my opinion, and I won't do that.
No, we're not asking that. We're asking to respect and cooperate the implementation of something that's voted on.
Are we
I think it's
talking-
enough to just to say respect and uphold and just leave that alone.
I think I guess the question when I read the block is I kind of see, this is not the first one I bumped into. We even have it, at the VFW and all sorts of crazy places. You're talking about, and I guess I support this as long as we're talking about after the vote has been taken. And then I think that needs to be
Yes.
Yes, that's
rephrased
correct.
differently so that it's understood that you know, you had a dissenting opinion prior to, you still reserve the right to that opinion, but you're not in a position to destroy what was passed by,
I think the word we're
Majority
looking for is
vote.
criticize. We should not be publicly criticizing the decisions of the body.
the approved
The
decision.
approved decisions of the body.
That
I can
way-
agree to that,
That way, we have a firm leg to stand on.
yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that.
If everybody's
Agree with
okay
you.
with that wording.
That's simple. That's
I
just a
think it
simple
captures the
change,
sense of
isn't
what
it?
you're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
accomplish.
that makes sense to me.
And I absolutely
You know,
agree.
it's not-
Yep,
I
yep.
mean, up until that point, yeah, it's herding cats, and that's what it should be,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But when you get to the point where no, oh, it passed, boom, that's business. We're
Mm-hmm.
done, move on, go with something else.
Yep.
There's avenues to correct that, you know, that the public can do. Say like, we pass something, the community doesn't like it, the community is fully within its rights
Right.
to bring it forth either as an amendment or something and change it in that aspect. It should not be left to counselors to continually chip away at it. That is not good. It does not show, I have a hard time talking in the third-party sense, so let's just keep this on street level, okay? You didn't like it, you lost, suck it up. We move on, we do the next project. We should not continually bicker and therefore screw us over when we try to work on the next project. That's my take on that.
You know, there may be some cases where a decision is made, though, that council should have the right to reconsider that decision. And
True.
there are provisions in Robert's rules to do that.
To do that.
But you do it without criticizing the body or questioning
Right.
the motives of your counselors.
Right.
You don't do that. You just, you respect the decision.
So once it's done, it's done.
Right. And you don't criticize the decision.
There is
So-
a way to go back if you need
Yeah,
to. That's-
but I think if we can change the wording so that's what we just discussed, and I think that's the way we need to stay on that.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think we can get there on that one.
Okay.
The next one is number 9. That is really
And
serious.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I think that this was put in there because you asked it to be put in there in the committee.
I don't remember.
Yeah, so.
Probably.
You did.
I'd second that. I'll accept that.
I just wanted to remind you.
I was wondering about some of your questions because you were on the committee. I'm like, wasn't he on that committee?
Well, I want to see the meeting. I want to see the video.
I will find those for
Those
you, but they're not in there
commercials
because
for
there's
the
no minutes.
replay
I
or
know.
whatever. Yeah.
But I just wanted to tell you that because I thought that was funny.
Well, I thought, well, I'm not going to get.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
You're
I'm
right.
just playing, I'm just messing with you.
So maybe this is because I don't understand what this is supposed to be saying, but we agree not to make commitments regarding how we will individually vote in any matter. That ties our hands. I mean, we do business by talking to each other, gathering votes, and winning on an issue. You can't be constrained to
Is that,
do that.
I-
Does that mean something different than what I'm interpreting it to
well,
mean?
I guess, again, I'm pulling from other places where we've had
No,
these
good,
things.
because I don't know the meaning of this.
But when I look at this, what I see is we agree not to make commitments regarding how we'll individually vote on a matter that comes before the city council. In other words, I'm not going to sit with John Doe and tell him, hey, I'm with you. When I get there, I promise I will vote like this. What happens between us is what happens between us, good, bad, and the ugly. But to promise someone that you're going to vote, I think that's an overreach of responsibility. But on the other side of the coin, saying there, okay, I've talked to John Doe, I understand his concerns, and I will be a champion for his cause, but then the body will make the decision, is a much better way to do business.
Okay, so make
That's how I
commitments
interpret it as well.
outside of council.
Right,
If we add those words
outside of council. Yeah, I think that
I
covers it.
can live with that.
Okay.
I also had, I think it's fine. I just want to make sure everyone is looking at it the same way I am. Items 5 and 8, I think cover what I'm concerned about, but 5 says we agree to treat each other, other elected and appointed officials and the public with civility and respect. I wanted that to include city staff.
I can see that. yeah.
I know in number 8, we do talk about city staff, but I feel like I would like to put city staff in number 5 as well, even though it might be kind of similar, but
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So we got-
Agreed.
So we got 3 amendments here. That's like where we're at.
city staff.
So 1, 2. I'm just following
Yeah,
what
you're
everybody's
right.
agreeing on
You're
here.
right.
Which is just some simple adding in.
And I have 2 more. I think we ought to add an item after, maybe after 10 or somewhere in here. Actions or behavior that violate the public trust and/or bring discredit upon the city council. as a
What
body.
number are you on?
I'm on a new one.
He's-
Somewhere, you know.
He's creating a 10A.
I'm creating a 10A or a 10, after 10. I just think that other things besides impairment should be considered to be put in this code of conduct.
You mean like someone
Like
shows up?
criminal matter kind of thing, or?
No, I think what he's shooting for is, tell me if I'm wrong, what you're shooting for is like, I decide that I'm in a public gathering and someone says, hey, you know, I'm not fond of so-and-so. And you say, yep, I never agreed with him, I think he's a piece of scum, he's not, I don't think you have, I agree, I don't think you have the right, you know, you can say, sometimes we disagree in a public forum, you know, sometimes I disagree, but I'm not going to sit there and badger someone who's not there. That's not our job. Our job is not to make other people feel less, so they have less confidence to bring us their problems.
I'm thinking more things on the line of doing something out in public that embarrasses you, so getting into a bar fight and causing a big
yeah.
scene and bringing, as
Oh,
a
you
counselor,
mean,
we
I
you
should
mean, you mean,
Yeah.
you
hold
know, you
ourselves
have
to a
a,
higher standard and not be engaging in that kind of behavior, right? So,
oh, you mean like running naked down Main Street chasing Frisbee? That
There
type
is-
stuff. I can see that.
There's
That's legit.
something in the old wording of the charter that kind of touches on that. Maybe we just need to pull that back
I'm sure we can
in.
find the word.
I think it was moral turpitude, if I remember correctly. There's something about that.
That's fine, yeah.
We just need to figure out
If we can
what
figure
that
out
means
that.
for us.
Because there's more than just impairment. I mean, we all understand why this is in front of us right now. So there are other things that I would be embarrassed if any one of us, you know, got in the middle of some
Hmm.
kind of.
I can see that, I just don't understand how you're gonna word that.
I
Well,
think
look-
if we look at that old wording and
I think it was.
get out the
I
old
think it was moral
thesaurus, we can come
turpitude.
up with
I
something.
think that's what it
That
said.
keeps it simple.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it says in the
says-
charter.
yeah, it
Like,
says
if someone who's
moral
convicted of a
turpitude.
crime involving moral turpitude. or
That's
Something
what it
like
says.
that.
Well, we were trying to
But
figure out.
there were a lot of
That was like,
charters
that was a
that we-
big
I
gray
mean,
area, what we were trying to figure it out.
Yeah, a lot of
We're
codes
researching
of
Charter
conduct.
It is.
already, though.
Yeah.
The moral.
Well, I
Yeah.
think is it still there though? Because
It
when,
is,
okay,
yeah.
So
okay.
then we don't have to put it
Can
in
we
the charter.
table this? I
No,
mean,
that's
at
why we
this
didn't
point,
put it in the
we're getting to the
conduct.
point where we're starting to discuss the thesaurus and dictionary.
No,
and-
that's why we were looking at that, but we were
Well,
also was in the
Just
charter.
to think,
we
so
didn't
that
put it in
next
here.
meeting, we can have it
Yeah,
done,
yeah.
so that,
And see if we can come to a consensus on it.
Did you say you had another
Something along those lines is all I'm saying.
yeah, no, I see, what-
Thank you,
I
Abby.
agree with that.
And then, I guess the last one, 13, conflicts of interest. I mean, if we're going to talk about that, avoid situations where we might derive or appear to derive personal or financial benefit. I think it's not just we, us individually, but our immediate families, familial contacts, and we should probably spell that out.
Or you mean, you want the statement, and family members?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, it's more than that.
No, but I mean,
Family,
family
familials, associates,
I can see it.
I think there's MMA legal wording that has to guide us on that.
probably
And I
already
think
covered
we
by that.
have, and I think we have that information.
Okay.
They have like a table of consanguinity with MMA that talks about that. But I think this also gets to like business associates or something
Okay.
Sure.
too, that would be outside of that table of
Well, and
consanguinity
we
or whatever.
have, right up front, in item 2, we have something there for conflict of interest, so maybe we don't have to put anything in there on number 13. But that goes back to my initial comment, a lot of the stuff that's in here is already covered. So, do we really need to restate it in this?
I just want to make sure with that one that we are following what MMA states we have to consider a conflict of interest and not inflate or change that, because legally I don't think we can do that.
Okay. That was all, that was all.
So we could double check that part of it too.
Now, as an offer to take some load off of Penny, I'm willing to put together some wording. If council agrees, I can make a cut at this.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't
One
vote
vote
at
from the
meetings,
manager.
but,
What's that?
I said I can't vote at meetings, but if I could, I would vote for that.
Okay.
Yes, I think it's just a few things that need to
Yeah.
be tweaked, so.
I think it's just a few tweaks. If council consents, I'll go ahead and draft up
I'm cool with it.
another one.
And
Oh,
then
yeah,
maybe
you
if you can just email that, then we can all
Absolutely.
just
should-
be ready to vote on it at the
Charter
next
committee.
meeting.
Yep.
With Charter Committee, what we found was there are so many communities that have these, like, codes of conduct, and I don't even know how many the committee looked at. There were so many, and they kind of
10
looked
of them or
for,
something, yeah.
you know, things that were, you know, that all of them seemed to have to incorporate.
There was two that had really good ones that we kind of really looked at,
Yeah.
that I think, that stood out to us the most.
Okay, anything else on this, or I think we're good? Okay, thank you. All right, item number 9C is a discussion on the Caribou Development Committee, and that's on page 17 of your packet. So, at the organizational meeting, we did talk because the council had received information that maybe was not accurate or not the full picture, I suppose. So we did discuss dissolving the development committee at the organizational meeting. After that conversation, I think that more information was brought to light about the difference between the two committees and the roles that each of them play. And you know that there are certainly some differences in the two different entities. So I thought it would be best, instead of introducing a resolution on that this evening, if we had a discussion about that and kind of see what the council's thoughts are.
Well, I'll go first. I'd like to see them stay. In other communities that I've been involved with, especially out west, the CDC and groups, let's back up, do this a different way, and then I'll walk into that. When businesses want to come here from the outside, I'm not talking about startups, I'm talking about business transfers and stuff, they're not going to come to the council. They're not going to come to the CEGC. Hey, did I say that right? Oh, okay.
I usually don't say it right.
I
so
know,
good
that's why
job.
I'm double checking. They're going to look for an organization like this because it's other businessmen. And that's who's going to answer their questions about what's available, what's my supply lines, what does your hiring pools look like, what is your educational background, so on and so forth. If we allow them to grow in that direction, that's huge, because at that point they become this huge advertising arm for our community. And we've already said we don't have anybody who can be on the phone all the time going, hey, we want you to move here. The other thing is that out west, they use groups similar to this, and they do things, it's called, out there, I have to use their terms because that's the way I learned it, they call it offloading, all right? Say like, for example, you want to do a flower display in the summertime. This is a very poor example, but it's very clear cut, okay? You want to like do multiple flowers downtown, you want to give it an image, you want to do that, lack of a better phrase, a hallmark moment, okay? You want something to stand out. Well, S.W. Collins is going to spend more than probably anybody. They have the resources. He has money he can spend on his resources, but a small business can't. So a decision usually gets made, one that cripples the community. We say, well, let's step in and we'll provide some funds to make this project go. But when you grow a CDC to their full extent, they can go to the businesses and say, look, the council says they would like to do this. And then they leave it to the businesses to do it. And what comes back from that is that a big group will do a big thing, but a small business will do something that's unique to them. So this brings in a much bigger palette of things that people come through your community, tourists and so on, and they say, wow, look at that. Look what this community does. And every business owner is proud because they owned a piece of it. And it's that pride that you grow through a committee like this that allows other businesses to flourish, and they become much more responsive and respectful when you start to negotiate things that are not going to be that kind later on down the road. You're building that community infrastructure and support and cooperation. That's where their direction lies. That's why I'm so very passionate that they stay. They have a huge role to play in the community, because let's face it, we're running out of cash. Everybody is. I mean, Maine is now one of the top 3 tax demons, you know, as a government, and we're having that fight here, you know. I'm not saying we ask businesses to like foot the bill, but I think there is a huge area where getting them involved and using the CDC as that conduit back and forth for information and projects that will come back to benefit it and keep us further ahead in the loop. Because let's face it, at this point, we're pretty much down to handshakes and waving as we go by, and I don't think that's a successful program to move forward. I'd like to see them stay.
Thank you. Other thoughts? Yep. Counselor Terrio? Sorry.
Under here on section 22-103, this concerns me a little bit because we just had a discussion about this. The city manager shall be responsible for the organization, administration, and operation of the committee, except, however, if said responsibilities may be delegated. And again, we know that there's nobody to delegate anything for. What kind of extra work is this doing, and are you duplicating your work with the Caribou Development and the CEGC? And would not having this, the CDC, and I'm not saying that that's what should happen, but this must be adding to your workload as well.
So I could tell you that the information that I prepare for the development committee typically meets earlier in the month than the Economic Growth Council. And I really prepare the same information for both. So it's not, it's the same information, it's just going to 2 groups. I
Okay.
mean, once in a while, there might be something that one of the groups asks for, but both of them have like the manager's report, kind of like here. So I will typically have our, like the grant updates, which I typically do have, but I don't have them for January yet. Maybe the manager's report from the last meeting. Sometimes through our membership in the International Economic Development Council, they put out a lot of really good articles. So sometimes I'll print those off, but I print enough for both groups. Like I do it all at one time.
All at
So
once.
I don't do
Okay.
things for the development committee and then a week later do it for Economic Growth Council. I print all the stuff at one time, make all the packets at one time. They just sit there for 8 days until the next meeting. They're usually, the Economic Growth Council meets at 7 a.m. on a Thursday. The development committee meets at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, so it's usually.
And do you end up going to both of those too?
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I'm coming to work anyway. We have them here. That's one of the good things about a lot of these meetings, they're here. So I'm not worried about, well, if somebody's sick or, you know, I'm in the building, you know, and anyway, so I'm coming to work anyway. So it doesn't matter so much. It's not like I'm driving to Prescott or something for a meeting. They're right here in the council chambers.
Would it be helpful to you, however, if instead of having it worded that way in section 22-103, if maybe more of that responsibility of organization, administration, and, you know, planning the agendas and all of those things fell on the chair of that committee versus
I
on
think
you?
so.
I actually don't do the agendas.
Okay.
So it's,
Okay.
the chair works with the secretary.
Okay.
I don't do minutes for that committee. I don't do agendas for that committee. I don't send out reminders for that committee.
Okay.
I
Is there
literally
anything
show
else
up.
that they could help you with?
And that goes
that you
for
can
both.
think of?
You know, both of those committees.
Okay.
I honestly just show up for those.
In fact, that's what the wording says. It says, said responsibilities may be delegated to the committee.
Correct.
Right,
Which
but we
is-
don't
that-
have
that-
any.
That is happening.
Good.
And I remember this being put in here, this is fairly standard language for all of our ordinance-based committees.
Mhm.
And
I think
we just
Riverfront
cut-
is
We
still the
cut and
same.
pasted it because
Yeah.
legally we have to, somebody's got to be in charge.
Right.
Yep.
And the city manager is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's the same thing in Riverfront.
It's just standard,
Yeah.
yeah, it's standard language.
Yeah.
Just, I'll go.
No, go right ahead.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate my support for the committee. Talking about a couple things, the responsibility of city manager. 50% of the city manager's job is based on economic development. I'm not advocating for more work. I would hope that that committee would be taking work away from the city manager by being economic development. They're doing outreach and things that
Yeah,
you
we
might
can't
not
do.
necessarily have to do regarding this one. It'd be delegated to the committee.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm just saying that I would hope that, I would think that the CDC would be, so if somebody's not coming to our manager's door knocking, they can go to the
Yeah.
CDC. Couple things on that, I guess. Where else was that? We talked about some, committees having overlap. I mean, and then I'm not advocating for this, but we could say that in the city side. We have a municipal buildings committee and a police committee. I mean, I don't advocate for those being merged, but they have similar duties, but separate as with the CEGC Council, CDC. And the last thing I'd like to point out is if anybody remembers Buxton,
Yep.
there was a point at one time we were paying a couple of years, and Joan would remember, I'm going to say it was upwards of $50,000.
Yeah, that's
for-
exactly what it was.
And I don't remember, it was at least a couple of years. And
I think it was a
Oh, more
2-year
than
contract.
and we
I
paid,
think-
it was more than that.
Well, I mean, I think it was longer than that.
Yeah, and I can't remember now, but, and that was, for
Yeah.
people listening, you can look it up, it's a company we were paying out of
What,
Boston, somewhere in New
West-
England.
West, I thought it was Southern Maine, down, it doesn't
And the
matter.
purpose of that was for that company, were supposed to bring us all these, and in those several years, we never got one email or phone call, did we, Joan, at all?
We got a couple, but the thing is, they didn't really fit up here.
Yeah.
They were businesses that, I mean, that one of them, in fact, I can't remember who it was right in Presque Isle already,
Yep.
so
I
they
just
didn't
want-
do much of a research.
And that,
Yeah.
and, at this committee, I mean, other than maybe the liaison chair or our managers and staff time, I mean, this committee is not really affecting our budget, and I would hope that it, I know that hopefully would bring us,
Right.
bring us things like that. So that's why I wanted to bring up Buxton and, and the similarities. But just because they have some overlapping thing doesn't mean that, and I think it was stated that neither side was really excited about merging. So, I mean, they both have their,
Well, my problem with this was in the beginning that they had asked for a paid employee.
correct.
Okay, and I thought, but if that is off the table, then,
And that would, it's even something that would have to come to the council anyway
Right.
in our budget, even if they did ask or anything that they come forward. Yes, that was a concern too, so,
Yeah.
of mine, and that's, I guess, everybody's getting my drift here, so I don't need to go too much further. That's my opinion. Ben?
Anybody else?
I'd like to say that I have been able to look over a lot of the comments that have been on Facebook and things like that also, and I agree that the CDC has done some tremendous things. There's been some really positive things that have come forward. CEGC does a great job. They're completely different responsibilities and characteristics of each group, and they're also both working for economic growth. And there might be some overlap, but I don't know that they're intended to be together or in one, and I don't think that either one of those groups can handle the other group's tasks and priorities at this moment. So I do feel like it might not be in our best interest to dissolve the CDC. So
You're on the
I'm on CEGC.
CEGC, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's what
I'm
it
the
is.
CDC, and I guess I better talk next.
Yeah, I just
No,
wanted to put that
I've
out.
worked as the council liaison to the CDC for the last year or more. And I'll say that, I mean, this is a group of people with tremendous vision and they're action-oriented. And that can be a thorn in our side sometimes when they're saying, why can't we do this, why can't we do this? We move at the speed of government, and that frustrates them, and that's a good thing, that they are action-oriented and they want to do this. Mr. Haney has provided amazing leadership to this group. He was very instrumental in setting it up. He wrote a lot of the tasks that were there. He and I worked together to get this to the council and to get it to get it in place. And so obviously, I'm going to support their continued service to the city. So that's all I have to say about that. If you're ready for a motion, I will move that Troy Haney.
Well, I would just like to go on record to say one thing first, and then you can make your motion. But I think that one thing to be very clear, no one was disputing the good work that the committee has done. It was brought to our attention that there might be quite a bit of overlap between the two entities, and that's why that came up at the organizational meeting. It wasn't because anyone thought someone was doing a poor job or that we didn't find value. We just were led to believe there was so much overlap between the two that we didn't need both.
Yeah.
But now that we've learned more and we've got more information, it does clearly make sense that we would have both of these different organizations. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
That makes a lot of sense.
I just see them as a 1-2-step organization. You know, one provides money, one provides guidance. I think the overlap that they have, in a strange way, is very beneficial. Because how many times have we in our personal lives or in our business lives bumped into organizations that don't know how the other one works? At least in this example, you know, there's some overlap, so it allows for them to transition from one group to the other rather smoothly. You know, that'd be my last nail in the coffin to keep them, you know.
I don't think we need any nails in the coffin.
Just making sure, because, you know,
I
sometimes.
think we just
you,
all needed clarification.
So I'm very happy about this outcome. I nominate Troy Haney and James Nelson to serve another term on the Caribou Development Committee.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye.
Watson?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Haney.
Can I say one thing? Section 22108, your report is due January 31st for the year. It's in there. So we'll look forward to hearing your report. Thanks.
I have an off-the-wall question. What's with this eye thing? I don't remember you doing that, Jody. What's up with that?
I don't know.
It's assertive.
Oh.
He's always done that.
No,
I guess so.
New guy
Well,
thing,
well,
you
that's how we
know,
did it for
do we
the
all
roll
have
call.
to
I was gonna
adapt
say,
to some
are we
sort
gonna
of
start
hand
doing that?
gesture thing, you know what I mean? I'm not sure what we're doing here.
Have our own secret sign.
Well, that's how we
Yeah.
did it for a roll call.
He's always done that, though.
Okay.
Can I bring up one other thing? It's related, we don't have to talk about it now, but we have also, as part of that, as part of the resolutions that were made on the charter, we also need to establish criteria for being excused from city council meetings. Is anybody tracking that? I made a note of it here, so I wanted to mention, get it out there, and maybe next meeting we can put something together for that. Sorry, that was just off. It was written in my notes, so I needed to mention it. Thanks.
Question to that. So the person's excused from council can still vote and their 80% testimony to the spreadsheet.
No.
The wording
don't think
changed,
so.
so I don't think that it does. But I think that this is something we have to talk about, because I do think as counselors, we should be attending meetings unless there's emergency or something. We all have something that comes up occasionally that prohibits us from being able to come to a meeting, and that's understandable. But I think we have to be mindful that we've chosen this role and we need to be at meetings.
Agreed.
That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Maybe we can get it on the agenda for next
Yeah,
week.
because I'm
or next
concerned
time.
with the wording now, leaves it kind of,
On the charter amendment?
yeah, because we don't have like a cutoff of attendance anymore, unless I'm
I think we do.
mistaken.
I think we do.
I
But
thought
we'll-
we took
we'll
it
look
out.
at
Well, yeah, we need to
don't
look
have
at it.
take
I think
now.
it's 3.
It was a random thought, and I apologize.
It's
No,
3.
I don't think it's
Disrupt
done
my
on
I think it
number, is
is.
it?
Somewheres I've read it's
Okay, I'm
3.
gonna have to go back and look, because I don't recall that.
3 in a row. It's
3 in a row is what it says?
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
it did anyway, and I think it's
Three
changed.
unexcused.
3 in a row, and then,
Is that after the 80%?
well, including the 80%, but you can't, but if,
Yeah, I think,
say, if you go 2, and then the third one you come back, and then you go 2.
Right.
If but that's where the 80% comes in. But if there's 3 in a row, you don't have to be up to 80%. If it's 3 in a row, it's automatic.
Gotcha. But I think the 80%'s gone now.
No, it's
I
not.
thought it
It's
was
not
still
gone?
there.
Oh, okay, good. I thought for some
Yeah.
reason it was
No,
gone.
it's
Okay.
still- I think it's.
But we'll
issue-
get that for the next.
The issue was that that the 80% rule was there for unexcused absences, but the charter doesn't say anything about what constitutes an excused absence. It only says excused by council, but we did not have a way of excusing by council. So that's what we created in the change. That we're gonna have criteria, and then the mayor will evaluate against the criteria and announce whether it's excused or not.
Excused or not, yeah.
That was to fix a specific problem, ambiguity in the charter.
The 80% only, we decided at one point didn't include liaison roles.
No.
Right,
Because
No,
that
it
was- that was-
hasn't.
That was a
It
question at
never has.
one time, wasn't it?
right, yeah.
That liaison.
Yeah.
And we said, no,
No.
if
Yeah.
you're a committee, if you're a voting member.
Yeah,
Okay.
since
Or
I've been
voting
on the
board.
council, it hasn't.
But
Yeah,
before that,
exactly.
We went with we got rid of the liaison roles.
That's right.
As being mandatory,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Okay, I don't.
all right, perfect. So we'll plan on that for the next meeting. Okay. Speaking of which, item number 9D, establish a timeline to present and discuss the 2025 municipal budget, and that's on page 22. And Manager Thompson, would you like to share your thoughts on this?
Sure. So per the Caribou City Charter, section 5-06 budget, the budget process is divided into 3 processes: expense budget, capital expense budget, and income budget. So for expense and capital expense, which, as an aside, we now have a capital committee. So the capital committee needs to figure out when they're gonna meet, so we can, because we need to do that like as soon as possible to go over capital requests. It'll be, I know I had a different process last year, but I think I've improved the process for this year too, so that the council will see the requests, and then you can see what the capital committee recommends from the requests.
Question on that. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's me and Joan, I believe, and Jennifer right on that committee.
Correct.
We'll have to start figuring out whenever, I know we're all busy, so we can start bouncing some times around and see what works for anyone. And we have to have that back, or that way if we need to, we can have multiple meetings and not, because in the past, sometimes we've done it in sections. It doesn't take too
Right.
long.
Yeah.
And how soon will those capital requests be available? So if you need our.
I could send them to the committee tonight.
No,
for
no,
that
I'm just
matter.
saying.
You know, what the
this meeting.
initial requests are from the departments. I mean, I have all of those.
Okay, so there isn't a whole bunch of fact gathering or anything, you'll just have it, so, yeah, no.
You could pull an all-nighter if you've
Yeah.
got
Yeah,
that
that's
tonight.
right.
Right, good. Along with this stuff here. Okay.
No,
You
no,
can
but
have
I'm just saying,
executive
like,
number
it's-
3. We'll all just go home, you guys just stay.
That's
Sure.
smart.
I know.
Good idea. We can-
Do you snore?
I don't know. We'll find out, right?
I'll put my stake in the ground on the capital budget again this year. I would like to see a full and complete capital budget and not just a year of capital requests.
Wait till
We need
you
to
see
have
the capital
history.
budget from our rec department. It's like 15 pages.
Okay.
Oh,
that's what
very,
I
very
want.
complete,
I
yeah,
want to see a
yeah.
complete budget that shows the history, the plan,
Mhm.
so that we can see what we're working toward and why, and not just be giving a list of, this is what we're going to spend this year. That is not the way to do a capital budget, and I'm looking for something better this year.
And sometimes that money there's money set aside from a year past or 2 years past that can make it seem a little complicated.
Well, you
because
have to follow that.
You have to
know.
follow it along because
Yeah.
it was allocated or encumbered, whatever you want to say, and then,
Nobody knows why, or.
well, we know why, but it just didn't get used because of the nature of the project or for the time.
Well, and we already uncovered during one of our previous meetings, the fire department had a capital request, and we haven't been following it. And it's like, well, why don't we have this in our capital budget? So anyway, that's all I want to say about that right now.
I'm all set. My
Okay.
thoughts on that.
Anything for, if you have more that you want to
Well,
talk about on the timeline?
The charter provides a timeline.
When we have it
Yeah,
here, so you
yeah,
don't
we have
have
it
to,
here.
you don't have to read through it.
I would
just
say,
don't know.
though, what I ran into for this meeting is we were going to start with some of the departments, but the finance department isn't actually going to be closing the last
Right.
year until around January 17th. And I thought, okay, well, this department has their expenses in. Well, they thought they did, but then, you know, you get another bill here and there. And I want to make sure when you get your 3-year projections that it's right. And I don't want to have things floating around that's not correct. But anyway, that's the story. I had another thought about the capital thing, and then it went away, but anyway. But the department heads have worked on getting those ironed out for this year. Like I said, especially the rec department. I was looking at his, and I'm like, wow, he's really gone into describing, you know, the needs of the department and what things are used for and what the history has been with that equipment. And it was really helpful.
That's great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it was very good. And then, so because we don't have any departments, because I know that the council wanted to get started, and I really wanted to follow that, but I just couldn't. It was where we're still getting in bills for the last year, and anyway. So now we have, instead, we're going to have a discussion about other departments that we need input from the council. But also, I would like to find out generally, what is the city council's direction? Wages have been increased, which we have talked about here. Water and sewer rates have increased, and even Aroostook Waste Solutions is considering a rate increase to owner communities, and they haven't had an increase for the owner communities in years. So we may, for electricity, which is another cost center that's gone up, however, this should be the year that we start seeing savings from the agreement that we have with Nordic Sun Energy, which I know, Councilor Watson, you were talking about solar at the previous meeting. So the city entered into an agreement with a local business, Nordic Sun Energy, so that we can be an off-taker from the power generated at their
location.
Yes, at their location. It's way behind. I mean, it's between supply chain issues with getting things hooked up with our utility. The last time I talked to someone at Nordic Sun, I think they were starting to do some testing and things, but I emailed again after the first of the year just to see if there was an update, and I don't have one. So my most recent update is soon. So it'll be this year anyway. So we should be saving about 20% of our costs from that contract.
It just seems that, you know, right now, solar is very big, everybody's getting on board. Efficiency Maine is willing to reach out on various projects with communities and so forth, you know, on a community level as opposed to an individual. And it just, you know, I'm not saying we chase the unicorn down the street, but realistically, anything that helps, you know, defray the costs and we can make a penny off it on the side, that wouldn't be, you know, I was aware of the program you're talking about and the delays and stuff in it. This would be something that ran parallel to it alongside, that we didn't have to involve the first group in, because the way, I guess, Efficiency Maine is playing this, they're working with a completely different structure. And maybe that's something we should look at as a group to try to defray costs and put money in our pocket.
I know that Councilor Morrill, when he sat in that seat, this was something that he took on and actually met with people at city buildings and, you know, talked a lot about efficiency, called down to Efficiency Maine, did a lot of that. We've explored, they've had different grant funding for like EV chargers.
Right.
We haven't been able to work with them on that. What they have our grant amount doesn't come close to covering something. There's different things.
Right.
The airport committee has had conversations about solar there.
Right.
The planning board started with a conversation at their meeting on Thursday also.
Well, it just seemed that, you know, when you look at the airport, that, you know, especially with the trailer park being where it is now, you know, I don't see us really trying, you know, Mother Nature, I mean, we can go that route and let Mother Nature take over the sewer system and, you know, do that stuff and kind of clean up the area that way. You know, a solar panel farm there would be least intrusive, you know, to the city. I mean, you look, all you have is the airport and then you have the public work buildings and you have that gap in the middle, you know, that could be productive. That was
Can
the
I just
thinking was.
chime in on that real quick?
Sure.
Just because I was on the committee when we closed that park down. And so there's a lot to do with what we're allowed to do with that area
Agreed.
because of the airport and FAA regulations. And if we're not careful, we lose our funding, so.
No,
we have
I
to-
agree, but, you know, it's something to at least have a peek at. I mean,
Yeah.
because one of the problems that you run into, especially for small communities, is where are we going to get the money for these brown projects? You know, if they're not in the mainstream flow of our business, why not look at some way to make them productive for us and kind of have to side, I don't want to say ignore it, but, you know, based on a priority system, we can kind of slide past it, do something positive as opposed to sitting and waiting to see what happens. That was
Well,
my
I
own
think
thought.
this is something we could certainly put on an agenda for a
Sure.
future meeting. I think, you know, just to kind of stay online with the budget conversation right now,
Right.
which could certainly impact the budget moving forward.
Oh, sorry, we just started talking.
Yeah, no, I know, I know,
Took off to the
woo,
side.
right down the rabbit hole.
Can I just throw one little comment on there on that off topic? But we did just recently talk to Efficiency Maine and our highway committee, and they had for municipalities, what they had for us was was lights for parking garages was all they had for municipalities. So if we had like big structures or parking garages, things like that, but nothing that could even help us with some of the projects we were doing. So that was the only thing that they had for us that we could really tap into when we weren't doing anything like that. So, I mean, they do come up with projects
And
often.
it's all
so-
the time, and it's just like
Yeah.
in the packet you have for the police department, because there was a question about grants. Grants come up all the time.
all the time.
And literally, you'll see that I have an email in there from Senator Collins' office this morning. So I'm preparing the last bits of that information and was able to print off an email from today that was specifically targeted towards police programming. Like that's how those things happen, and it's and we do try to look into anything that we think might take the priorities of the council and be able to act on those with other people's money.
So as far as the budget's concerned, I mean, I'm not sure there's much we can provide direction tonight. I don't know what you're looking for, direction, guidance, or whatever. But for direction, it requires a vote, and I think I would be willing to share my opinion, but you're gonna get 7 different opinions, but
And
maybe
that-
that'll be helpful.
I say that there's 8 different personalities and opinions
At
here,
least
the
8.
7 individuals, and then the 8th is when you're acting together.
Yeah,
so.
exactly, right. So here's my, I guess.
Multiple
position on this.
personality.
I believe the taxpayers have suffered for the last 2 years with enormous tax increases, and I think our goal for this year is to assure 0 tax increase for any citizen of Caribou. I don't know how we get there. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna mean losing positions, losing programs. But I do not want to see another
That's
tax
not gonna
increase
happen.
for Caribou citizens this year.
That's not gonna happen.
That's my position.
You know, I think that's difficult to assure because, again, a lot of what happens in this municipality is really influenced by the RSU 39 budget and the county budget. So, I mean, we have to make sure that we are very aware of that and that the citizens are very aware of that. And, you know, it can't strictly be up to our municipal budget to keep that tax rate flat. It just can't. I mean, we certainly can do our best and certainly make those cuts where we can make them, but
Some
we
things are out of
can't
our
shoulder
control.
the entire
Understood.
tax burden
Understood.
Or
You can't
tax
control
rate.
what they come forward
Or
with.
tax rate.
Or the county.
On the municipal, maybe that's the way to say it.
But on the municipal, I mean, essential services, we have to ensure that those are taken care of. But anything that's non-essential services, I mean, we're gonna have to look hard. It's not going to be a fun year for budget.
No, I agree, I'm happy to hear.
We've
the
already got
information.
a bunch of wage increases that are baked in, union negotiations ongoing, that's gonna bake in more. We're building new police station, and I don't know how we're gonna do it.
No, I was just gonna say, you ought to go to Prescott and see what they're doing.
We're gonna do it.
We are gonna
Hey,
do it, but
where's
it's
your
gonna be-
positive
It's gonna be
attitude? Yeah.
painful.
No, it's not. Smile.
So
gonna be
my
good.
thoughts would be this,
It's
so
gonna be nice. Smile.
you can
We're gonna
get
get it.
some budget information to us prior to the next meeting. We'll
Oh,
have
yeah,
plenty of
yeah,
it.
you
So
gotta
I
have
think,
it.
you know, for us to have discussions about budget, we kind of need to have something to look at, to reference to. So I think at the next meeting, the goal might be to kind of trim down the agenda to try to focus on budget items as much as possible. If there's something we need to discuss, of course, we'll put it on the agenda, but I think spending as much time with budget materials at the next meeting as possible would be great, so. Thoughts about that?
No, I agree.
I agree.
At this point, we're just kind of swinging in the wind.
Yeah, yeah, so let's make that our, kind of our goal for the next meeting.
So, and what we'll see next meeting is we'll have the department numbers, their
No, you-
requests.
Yeah,
Will
well,
they be vetted by the manager before?
I'm
before
hoping
we
so,
see?
yeah.
That would be very helpful.
That's what I've been kind of working on until I can get the full, until everything is done for the year's closed, yeah. But we could talk about Department 75, which is contributions. So last year, the city council decided not to make any contributions. So is there a thought for 2025?
I guess my question is, what contributions are we talking about?
All of them that came, the
We get-
requests.
We get requests from different organizations
Correct.
asking for funding, so last year, we knew it was gonna be kind of a tight budget year, and we decided not to go with any requests, and I know this is gonna be a really tight budget year too, so.
Well, in my opinion on it is that we're spending taxpayers' dollars to contribute to different entities. And not everybody maybe agrees, or some of them probably already do contribute or don't think that they should. And some of these places also get nice stipends from the federal government and things like that. I think we got, what, 26 more requests last year or something like
We
that?
got quite a few, and we have quite a few this year, too.
And you just can't, if you do for one, then somebody else is gonna say, well, you did for them. I think it's something that an individual, counselors, citizens, anybody else, I think it's their prerogative if they wanna give to certain charities or organizations, it's fine, but that is one thing that I think it should not come out of our budget.
I agree 100%.
I want to weigh in on that too, because at one time we had considered, okay, let's put $2,500 aside.
Right.
Or whatever, some number, but then it becomes, as you had mentioned, between the individual counselors. I mean, there's great things out there. I might agree, hey, we need to get $250 to this, and
Yeah.
everyone else says, no, this is where I want it. Or that to go.
Right,
Yeah.
It eliminates,
exactly.
also eliminates that problem too.
You're
is-
picking winners and losers.
Yeah.
And that's never
Process,
gonna
and it's
work.
not.
I mean, everybody
Never.
can agree, but when you get 26 requests,
Yeah.
all good requests most
The
of
thing
time.
is, with those number of requests and that small amount of money that you're talking about, you're not really making a difference anyway,
No.
other than putting your name on a sheet saying we were there. You know, I'd rather, if you're gonna do something, I'd rather see it be significant and you make an impact. You know,
All right, so
So I
I
think
will
we got
move
that,
we
yeah.
decline to make any contributions in 2025 under Department 75.
Right.
A second?
Can we
Anybody?
decide that tonight?
Yeah,
That's-
Hey, then we've made progress.
We
so,
sure can.
yeah.
Absolutely.
we just need a second.
And
Anybody?
that means
Second.
it's less like, then I don't have to bring you all that stuff. I can just say, okay, 75 is a 0, and one less. thing
Perfect.
to-
So we have a motion and a second, further discussion? All right, Bagley,
Aye.
Kelly? Aye. Lovewell?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Terrio?
Yes.
Watson?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right.
Did I do it right?
Smells more like this. Pen in his hand is more this.
I am left-handed, yeah, but I do a lot of things with my right hand. It gets tricky. Okay. All right.
Can we look
So
at-
I think we can hop right over, well, I guess that was a presentation of departmental budgets. We just took care of
Yeah.
9E.
I want to talk about that. Can we talk about Department 65 very quickly?
Oh,
That'd be great.
where are we going?
So Department 65 is cemeteries.
Oh,
So
okay.
last year, you may remember that I said that was one of the cost centers we really needed to think about increasing
Yes.
in the future, because by state statute, the municipality must maintain veterans' graves. So what's happened over the last few years is, so the city of Caribou does not own a cemetery. There are cemeteries that have like boards, but the people have all died. So there's not, people kind of look, I mean, there's usually a person who's looking after it, but there's not like a board that's, working towards funding the cemeteries. I mean, of course, the veteran cemetery is
Right.
different. But what we're finding is, as people get older or move away, then maybe whoever cut the grass there isn't doing it anymore because they don't live here anymore, or they're not able to do that. So the city's had to pick up doing a couple of the cemeteries.
So for example, I think, is it maybe the one on the Grimes Road, the one
Grimes.
out by the Historical Society? Those are a
the
couple
two,
of
yeah.
the examples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, that was my prelude. Counselor Watson, you said you had a thought?
Yeah, the Veterans Cemetery has routinely, and I don't know, I'm still looking at it for that angle, has routinely come to the community and said, hey, look, you have a portion of your citizens here at the Veterans Cemetery. And, step forward and a donation is a poor phrase for it, but, money to be used for their certain upkeep. All the communities in Aroostook County do that. And based on what I can see, it's been quite a bit since the last time this committee sent money to the cemetery.
Yeah, I don't, during the time I've been manager, they haven't sent any
Yep.
to the Veterans Cemetery.
And then you have other people like Wallagrass. I mean, I'm not using this as an embarrassment quotient, but, there's a percentage that it's based on, based on who's there. And places like Wallagrass, I mean, they're a very small community, and they're donating 200% of their allotted, to make sure that their voice is heard and that those people that came from the community that's there in the Veteran Cemetery is cared for. I'm not trying to put out, anything that's mean or cruel, but, it'd be nice to see this community own up to the fact that there are, they were with us. In a way, they still are, but, we need to take responsibility for those that belong to us. I feel very passionate, but I don't have the right words to put that into place. I guess, there's 1,500 people out there. If that's an issue, and I don't want to be argumentative about it, but if that's an issue and you don't want to do it, then that's fine, and I'd be more than glad to throw you my pickup truck and take you for a ride out there, and you can look at the stones and then tell me why you can't do that. It just, it just rubs wrong.
Well, I'd like personally to see all of if we can, and if we have the budget for it, I would like to see all of our cemeteries taken care of for all of the citizens, veterans or non-veterans. I think everybody that's, a citizen in a cemetery in Caribou should
I just get.
be treated the same.
I guess I just have the heartburn comes from the fact that somehow over time, accidentally, it's supposed to be the Veterans Cemetery at Caribou. And somehow, somewhere slang-wise, it's become the Caribou Veteran Cemetery. And I spend a lot of time every day working veterans issues. and I spend a lot of time on the road, and then I have to bump into this consistently. Well, why should I be buried there? It's Caribou's Veteran Cemetery. No, it's not. You know, it's a federally funded, state-governed cemetery for veterans. It's located in Caribou, so not everybody gets buried at Togus. You know, and it's a very frustrating conversation to have. So anything we can do to, you know, at least show support for that, and maybe clean up that image, I would greatly appreciate. That's my 2 cents on that matter. That's all I got.
So Penny, right now, in terms of the cemeteries, I think what Parks and Rec was helping do some of that maintenance last year, maybe even a couple of years? Or was it primarily last year that they started taking over some of that?
Well, Grimes Road has been a while. That The
Okay.
city has been maintaining that cemetery. I think this is the second year for the Linden Cemetery.
Mm.
Okay.
But others we fund through, you know, a budget stipend towards maintenance.
Gotcha. Okay.
But those have been the same for a long time, and it costs more and more
to do that.
but I have to say, like, I hear from a lot of people, whoever's doing Evergreen is doing such a great job. I mean, my headstone is up there, but, you know, my husband goes and cleans up where his family is buried in different places in the cemetery. But just the people that are doing the rest of the cemetery are doing a good job up there. But at the same time, we have a lot of veterans up there. I mean, when you go Memorial Day, and after they have all the flags up, before some of them get
Right.
blown off,
Yep.
it's you can't
no.
go down a street. There's
We do
all.
it, actually, we're the only organization left that can do it, the VFW. And we cover, the only place I don't think we're going now is Madawaska, Fort Kent, and Van Buren. Otherwise, we're there,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah, I mean, that's a very sobering day, oof, you know?
I think there's even quite a few out to Green Ridge.
Yes.
I mean, there's all of our cemeteries. I mean, Maine historically has had very good participation in the armed forces and have answered the
Unfortunately.
call. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Statistically, the Aroostook County has 19,783 veterans currently. Caribou has 1,846 veterans. And that's peacetime, wartime, whatever. That's how they get counted. Of which Aroostook County is the second largest veteran concentration in the state of Maine. That's why it's, you know, so, I mean, this is Aroostook County. Either you are the veteran, married or a partner to a veteran, child of a veteran, related to a veteran, or no veteran. There is no other category. here.
Grandchild of a veteron.
Yeah, you know,
Yes,
but
there
you
you
know what I
go.
mean? There's no, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, there's no way that doesn't impact us, and, you know.
yeah.
Well, I guess maybe it's something we need to
Yeah.
put some thought into and maybe
Yeah.
get some more information on so that we can make an informed decision. What do the rest of the counselors think?
Just want to prepare. I'm just setting the stage
Yeah,
here.
absolutely. Agreed. All right. Okay, are we moving on from budget?
Sure.
Sure. But
Or
if,
did
if
you have
people
something-
have thoughts, feel free to reach out, is what I would say.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Item number 10, we have no old business to discuss today. Item number 11, reports and discussion by mayor and council members. I think I started on that side last time, so Councilor Bagley.
Thank you. Just the one thing, getting back to the design development package, that you said that it would be delivered the 3rd of February, and we'll be reviewing it on the 10th,
Correct.
right? I would like to see that, a public hearing scheduled for that. I won't move for that tonight, but I just wanted to give all the other counselors a little while to think about that. I'd really like to open that up as a public hearing. It'll be the first, to give the public an opportunity to participate in the process.
There is
No,
no
it's
more
there's no
formal
more-
vote that needs to take place until the bid takes
You mean to
place.
say,
We have
so
to approve
for-
the design.
No You
decided
only
on
have
the
to approve the
27th.
bid, when it goes to bid. When the bid comes back, that's what needs to be approved.
Well, that's not what the contract says.
I think it does, but we'll take a look at it. We'll take a look at it.
But in any case, I think it's important, you know, again, that public outreach, public involvement, building that public support is really important.
I could not get it in the paper for the bid, so it would not work.
We don't have to.
No, I don't think we, if members of the public want to come in and speak during public forum, they're more than welcome to do
It's
so.
different than a public hearing, so-
I'm just gonna say, we would have to vote to put it out to bid. But does that have to come to the council? Just to put it
No,
out
we
on
just
our
have
bid?
to vote.
To put it out, we have to put it out to bid, right?
I don't think we even have to vote to put it out to bid. We have to vote when the
On the
bids
bids.
come back, then we have to vote to accept the bid or not.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so there's no,
There's no
Okay, yep.
vote up until that point.
that's what
Yeah, if we want to resolve it right now, I can, I've got the contract with me, but otherwise, that
Well, we
was
can,
all I- that's all
yeah,
I
no,
had.
absolutely.
You
We
want to
can
talk about it later?
certainly look into it.
We can talk about it
We
later.
can look into it. Okay.
Thank you.
I have nothing. No, I have nothing.
But a nice smile.
Yeah, I'm excited for budget. I'm so excited.
I think we all are.
Yeah.
I'll get
You spend
everyone
more time
nice
with me.
Sharp
Yep.
pencils. for the things. Go with
I'm
it.
gonna bring a pen
Bring a pen, okay.
or
No, I
two.
think I made all my points earlier in the meeting, so I don't have anything else to, any
I've
Nothing
said my
here,
piece.
okay.
I'm good.
I'm fine.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. Okay, our next regular meeting will be on January 27th, where we will be spending some amazing time looking at budget materials.
Exciting times are coming.
Okay, we do have executive sessions on the agenda this evening. What are the wishes of the council?
Move to go into, I have to do those things, don't I? Move to go into executive session for union negotiations pursuant to 1 MRSA 405.6D Fire Department, or do you want to do the?
And police station.
You want to do them both? We have to do.
Well, you
We have to do one
one
at a
and
time,
then
yeah.
One at a time.
Fire
Yep.
or the police first?
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
Okay. Let's
if
list
you
it as
think-
A.
If you think police will be shorter, I mean,
Yes,
Liz
yes.
is here, so, I mean.
Okay. It doesn't make a difference to me. Whoever's making the motion
Okay,
can
executive
decide.
session for union negotiations pursuant to MRSA 405.6D Police Department Union.
Motion second, further discussion.
You'll have to wait.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Bagley?
Aye.
Kelly?
Aye.
Lovewell?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Terrio?
Aye?
Watson?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And this will conclude our public part of the meeting.
Turn off-
Microphones off, please.
Okay.
My phone's on silent too.